Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast, is sponsored by fine people like Roger Anderson.
This is Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast. Cherry Blossom Clinic, The Move.
Discovers that the papers have been signed. To my bed I am confined, owing to my state of mind. Special food for thoughts I must be fed. The authorities have said that I'm going up my head. Suddenly from flower skies, 20,000 butterflies glorify my dead in Peru. Turn from hot to very cool, though it seems incredible, I could ride a bike around the moon. Cherry blossom clinic, is there any truth in what they say? Cherry blossom clinic, lock me in, burn me away.
What's that song all about?
Cherry Blossom Clinic is the 13th and last song on The Move's first album. This wood-written tune is based on a fairy tale with an additional adult spin about loneliness and madness. The song is about a man who is restrained to his bed at a clinic while losing his mind and the hallucinations he lives through. The Move first recorded the song on August 25th, 1967. They weren't too hot on that recording, and so took another whack at it on November 1st. It was originally intended to be the follow-up song to Flowers in the Rain, with Vote For Me as the B-side in November of 1967. The B-side mocked politicians and further stuck their finger in Prime Minister Wilson's eye at a time when Wilson was suing them for the promo artwork for Flowers. The band and the label thought this would lead to more trouble, so the single was scrapped and Fire Brigade was released instead. Move bassist Ace Kefford tells a different story though. He said it was cancelled because they thought Fire Brigade was the better choice for a single. Vote For Me sat unreleased until the double disc bonus track reissue of the album in 2007.
I spent 25 years in and out of a wacko ward. But I'm feeling much better now.
I'm Eric Paul Johnson.
And I'm Eric Winsenson.
And Cherry Blossom Clinic.
Is it a place where you pray away the gay? Which I've never heard of actually being successfully prayed away. Mike Pence is trying.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could pray things away, believe me, there's a lot of things about me I would pray away. Diabetes at the top of the list. Cherry Blossom Clinic. I don't know how to feel about this song. I don't like it. I like it. I don't like the parts without Roy Wood.
Doctor pays a visit every day. I keep asking for my dad. They must think I'm going mad.
I'm not really crazy about the tune or the music of it. But then when Roy Wood comes in, and the tune takes a change, and there's all these horns blasting in, and weird discordant violins just swelling and swirling.
Cherry blossom clinic, is there any truth in what they say?
That part of the song I like. If that was the song, I would not be confused about, do I like it or not? So, I like it?
I like it. It's right up my alley. There are problems with it, though.
Yeah.
One of the major problems with it, and probably we'll be seeing this a lot when we finally get to Wizard. One of the major problems with it is production. I know it's not Roy's fault this time around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my beef with it too.
Yeah. Even in mono, I could imagine this thing is going to be muddy as
Mm-hmm.
all get out.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, I was going, was this taken from an old 45? No, this is the same digital source. I think it's the reissued Move album with all the bonus tracks from on the CD from a few years ago.
2007, 2017, something like that.
Yeah, that's all there on YouTube. As soon as it starts, it sounds like it's from an old scratchy 45. I mean, I appreciate all the music that's in there, especially since it sounds like you went, okay, now we're going to have strings this time. We're going to have horns, but don't you dare tune these things. But whoever is doing everything here, it is for them because you have to do this type of out of tune purposely to make it effective.
For a song about being locked up in a madhouse, yeah, I can understand. And for it,
Yeah,
and it
and
works.
that's part of the atmosphere is things are just slightly off here
Yeah.
and not comfortable, despite the playful lyric in there. Oh, I'm going off to the Cherry Blossom Clinic and everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows. And it has all this other stuff to, there's a reason you're going there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we're probably both thinking the same song right now. That even though this has a lot more to it, but it reminds me a bit, if it was very, very stripped down, of that old classic, They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha. Just British.
Yeah, I can see that. Although I think this one's he's off his nut. He's lost his mind. I think he's just drifted off into some sort of internal world that does not jibe with reality. And that's why he's locked away, because he's in these weird fantasy land, which he thinks is totally real. Whereas They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha, that's part of the title, I always have to include it. He's been driven mad by a woman who he's cooked her meals and cleaned her house.
And this is how you pay me back for all my kind, unselfish, loving deeds.
Yeah, in that case, a woman pushed him over the edge of sanity, and that's why they're taking him away. Whereas here in this one, I think it's just more naturally induced in the person that he was taken away.
Yes.
I think that's my overall beef with the song, is that it sounds like it was recorded off an AM radio with a little tape recorder that somebody held up to the speaker. And I think this song would be so much better if it was recorded in Dolby Atmos 7.1 surround sound, so you can really get those swirly strings spinning around and over your head and everywhere, to also kind of put you in the mind and maybe even also make you feel a little bit loopy while listening to it.
There are plenty of recordings from the same time that do that, either mono or stereo. Part of it is it does sound like it was recorded wrong.
Yeah.
In places, and it just sounds like things were not set at the right levels. Let's put it that way. It sounds like everything was piled on top of each other at the same level.
Yeah.
And that's not something you get out of a Beatles song, for instance, that has all the same bells and whistles in it, and literal bells and whistles at times. Even the mono versions, it's layered. You don't get that with Beach Boys. You get layers.
Yeah.
And even when you get to the stereo versions where it's very harsh separation, you still get it properly separated. It just doesn't sound as good as the mono stuff sometimes. But here it's just everything is blasting at the same level. I know this was one of their singles and one of their signature songs.
It was almost a single, but it wasn't. But it is a signature song.
Yeah.
People think of the move, oh yeah, Cherry Blossom Clinic.
But it really needed to be produced differently to really hit right.
Yeah. I also kind of wonder if maybe that might have been on purpose to help create the weird world that's going in his mind, but trying to transfer that into a real world so somebody can hear the story. Like as if it's in his head, who knows? It probably is in Dolby Atmos Surround 7.1, but trying to transmit that out into the real world. Maybe it goes through the real world filters and comes out sounding like an AM radio mess. Is just my pure pulling it out of my nose speculation.
But you're right about Roy. He's good on this, and very memorable chorus, very catchy. It's just, it really needed somebody to go, do you really want it to sound like this?
Yeah.
Got something to say about Cherry Blossom Clinic? Then call the telephone line voicemail.
623-850-3375. Call now. Crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely.
The Turtles, Buffalo Springfield, the Birds, Lewis and Clark Expedition, many other stars yet to be announced, are among those who will be performing at the Cheetah today in an all-star benefit for the LA Free Clinic. Tickets are $3.50 at the door or $3 advance at Wallack's Music City, Siamber's Men's Shop, Free Press Bookstore, or at the Free Clinic. That's the Cheetah today, 3 p.m. to midnight for the all-star Free Clinic benefit. You try and be there.
Enjoy the podcast? Then let us know with the universal expression of love, cash. You get swell extras when you subscribe at patreon.com/ELOpod. For $1, $2, or $3 a show, you get expanded episodes that include more conversation, discussion about remakes, full lyrics reading, ELO origin stories, and other goodies you can only hear in the expanded episodes through a Patreon subscription. Help a poor man build a pretty dream and give us lots of money at patreon.com/ELOpod.
Well, hello, this is Dr. Troy, and here are my thoughts on Cherry Blossom Clinic. I just love that title. Yeah, I like this song. It's a little more example of the Moves psychedelia. The way the vocals are arranged sort of reminds me of the Who's Christmas song, quote-unquote, on the album Tommy. I thought the vocal arrangement, especially in the verses, was a little reminiscent of that. And of course, Penny Lane with the horns and the flutes and the piccolos. I heard echoes of that as well. But I want to talk about the title itself. And let me preface these comments by saying I am not against depression. I am not against therapy. I am not against psychology or psychiatry. There are times when it is needed. So I do not want any of my comments to be misconstrued as being anti-therapy. But there are times when you may be feeling just a little down. You know, you're not clinical, but you're just a little bit down. You need a pick-me-up. And seeing something as, quote-unquote, mundane as the cherry blossoms in the spring, or seeing the first robin of the spring, or I'll give you a couple examples from my own life. I suffer from insomnia at times. And when you've been up all night, you can't find anything good on TV. Of course, the radio doesn't play anything good anymore. And you've been up, and especially in the summer, when the dawn begins to break early, about 4:30 in the morning, that has really lifted my spirits more times than I can even count. Another example I thought of is, I'm a bit of an amateur astronomer, and I love to go for long walks. And there are times, especially in the spring, summer, and early fall, when I like to go for a walk just as it's getting dark and watch the stars come out, and to sit for hours just looking at the stars. That's another thing that has given me a personal lift at times when I needed it. And again, not against therapy. If you have a real problem, you may need it. But there are times when you need just a little pick-me-up, and while making allowance for the Move's use of irony, I think that, to me at least, that's what the title infers at least. Cherry Blossom Clinic, just time when you just need to lift your mood a little bit, and seeing those cherry blossoms, they are beautiful. So again, a good song, and I can't wait to hear more. This has been a thought from Troy.
Face the Music, a pre-ELO song-by-song podcast, is a production of Radio Trolla Entertainment, Assorted Deli Meats Amalgamated. You can contact us by voicemail at 623-850-3375 or email us at eloftmpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll read and reply to it on the show. Keep up to date by joining our Facebook group, and spread the word by sharing the link or giving us a quick rating on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube page, the Electric Light Orchestra Podcast channel, to hear other goodies. You can financially support the podcast at patreon.com/ELOpod or PayPal using the podcast's email address, or send a check or money order to P.O. Box 1932, Superior, Arizona 85173. Next week, End of the Road.